creating wealth, freedom, and security using real estate investing. This is Get Real Wealthy. All right, on this episode of Get Real Wealthy, we're going to give you seven ways to turn negative cash flow properties into positive cash flow. I've talked about having positive cash flowing assets in previous episodes. Remember that big deal episode that went through the big deal formula? Make sure that you go back and you listen to that and go through that. So let's talk about 7 ways to turn negative cash flow into positive cash flow. Well, first, let's talk about why. The problem with negative cash flow is that it is an alligator that continually fights you and fights the growth of your portfolio. It's even worse when values go down. You can't think that values will always go up. If you have cash flow and values go down, you're able to hold on to that asset for a longer period of time. That longer period of time will allow that asset to continue to increase in value, and in that way you're going to continue to be able to hold on to the asset. The other reason why is that banks will continue to finance you. You have one negative cash flowing property, maybe 2, and then you'll get financing because you're betting on appreciation, but you're not going to be able to grow a real estate portfolio. You need to have positive cash flowing assets. You want to have a high debt coverage ratio when you consider rents versus the debts that you have on your asset. That's why we encourage you to have cash flowing properties. All right. Now, if you are thinking about changing a negative cash flow to a positive cash flow, there are a few simple things that you can do. Number 1, redo the financing. Maybe you can get new interest rates that are lower than the interest rates that you already have. Okay? Maybe what you could do is actually spread out your financing and take a larger amortization than you had before. Maybe you can increase the number of years or years to term in order to lower your payments. Those are different ways on the financing side that you can actually help to increase your cash flow. Looking at your actual financing and refinance the property with a higher amortization. So instead of having, let's say you've owned the property for 10 years and you have 15 years left of amortization, re-amortize that property back up to 25 years, or if possible, up to 30 years. Whatever the bank is offering you, this will help to lower your overall payment and increase the cash flow that you're receiving from that asset. Number 2 is to get the highest and best use of the income from that property. That could be adding a basement suite to the property. That could be adding an upper suite to the property. Maybe that's adding a garden suite in the garden and creating a new source of income from that asset so that you can use that to increase your cash flow. The third way is to use short-term rentals, maybe Airbnb or a furnished rental, in order to increase the cash flow that you're getting from that asset. By doing that, it becomes a lot more work, but you're able to convert that non-cash flowing asset into something that's cash flow positive. Another strategy is using a rent-to-own as an exit to the property. So using the lease-to-own or rent-to-own strategy, you're basically giving a potential tenant buyer the ability to purchase the property at a specific price a year from now. By giving them that purchase price, they will pay you a monthly option amount that allows them to purchase the property. That allows you to bring additional funds to that property and create a cash flow positive environment. Now, I think that the rent-to-own is an exit strategy, but there are a lot of other people that use that as their main strategy. You'll have to do some more due diligence on that. If you go to educationrei.ca, we have a whole course on rent-to-owns and lease-to-owns and how you can use that. All right, the next thing you can do is use joint ventures to help push down your loan to value. So look at the property, look at the value of the property. Perhaps you bring a joint venture partner on. They help you to do a lump sum payment onto your current mortgage, bring down the loan to value and therefore create a cash flow positive asset. That's another way to do it. Maybe on turnover, you can start to rent extras. Like instead of including the garage, you rent the garage separately, particularly if it's not attached to the building. I like to rent garages separately. It could be a shed, it could be a driveway. Maybe you have an extended driveway and an RV could park on there, and that allows you to create some additional cash flow. Another way that you can create positive cash flow from a negative cash flowing asset, perhaps is looking at the asset itself. Maybe you can sever the land. Maybe you can repurpose the land. Maybe there is the ability to create two lots out of one lot, sell one lot off, allow you to pay down the existing mortgage on the original lot, and therefore create cash flow. Again, these are 7 different ways that you can take a negative cash flowing property and making it positive cash flow. So number 1, redoing financing, getting new rates and spreading it out, maybe using a different sort of amortization. Number 2, bringing the property to highest and best use, perhaps with a basement suite or a garden suite. Number 3, short-term rentals, Airbnb, furnished rentals, being able to push up the rental amount that you're able to get. Number 4, create a rent-to-own exit strategy on the property that boosts up your cash flow and allows you to sell the asset and then put those funds into something else that makes more sense. Number 5, joint venture on the property with a partner that allows you to push down the loan to value and increase the cash flow of the property. Number 6 is to rent the extras that are connected to that property. Could be a standard lease turnover. Now you're renting out the shed, the garage, and the driveway. Creating those extra income sources can add more overall income and allow you to cash flow positive on the property. Number 7, sever the land, perhaps create different lots, sell one, pay down the other, create cash flow. And the other thing, a little bonus that I never even talked about, was decrease your expenses. Find different ways that you can decrease the expenses that you have on the asset, fight your property tax bill using LED lights and water savers in order to decrease expenses when they're inclusive. Those are your extra bonus on creating additional cash flow, taking a negative cash flowing asset and turning it into a positive cash flowing asset. All right. If you love this episode of Get Real Wealthy, make sure that you share and let 2 other people know about it. Rate this on iTunes and make sure that you subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode of Get Real Wealthy.
Make sure to check out getrealwealthy.com.
Until next time, I'm Quentin D'Souza. Get out there and take action.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are provided for information purposes only and should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider any investment or course of action. For more information, go to getrealwealthy.com.